Hello family, how you doing? This is Lee Professor Q at your service. Today we're going to go over chapter 4, organizational capabilities, structure, culture, and roles in our contemporary project management book. So without further ado, you guys know what time it is. It's time for instruction. Hello everyone, how you doing? This is Lee Professor Q at your service. Today we're going to go over chapter 4, organizational capability, structure, culture, and roles in our contemporary project management book. Some of the topics that we're going to cover in this chapter are types of organizational structures, organizational culture and its impact on projects, project lifecycle, traditional project executive roles, traditional project management roles, traditional project team roles, the PMBOK Guide, 7th edition. We'll go over some terms there. We'll talk about Agile projects and organizational capabilities, and that's that. Some of the Agile objectives we're going to go over. We're going to define Agile in our own words. We're going to describe situations in which the Agile approach may be better than the plan-driven approach. We're going to describe the iterative-based and continual Agile project lifecycle models. We're going to talk about the contrast plan-driven and Agile approaches in project management. And we're going to describe typical primary and additional team roles and responsibilities on an Agile team. So 4.1, types of organizational structures. There are 3 primary types. There's a functional organization, there's a projectized organization, and there's a matrix organization. A functional organization is an organization structure in which people are grouped on the basis of specialized functions. And the project manager has limited authority to assign, work, and apply resources. The functional manager generally controls the project budget and makes most project decisions and is the primary person who coordinates the project communications outside of functional areas by contacting his or her functional managers. This, when we're taking a look at a functional organization, here is the hierarchy right here. This is just a traditional approach in which clear lines of authority are drawn according to the type of work that is being done. When we're dealing with a functional organization, there are advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages are there's a unity of command. Only one boss is giving instructions. Workers can learn from each other and keep the skills sharp. They can continue to report to the same functional manager. And functional organizations share resources among multiple small projects. Now, let's go over some of the small disadvantages. There's slow communications across multiple functions. Typically, technical difficulty in incorporating input from other disciplines can be a problem. Also, long communications channels make for slow decision making and slow response to change. Now, let's go ahead and talk about a projectized organization. The projectized organization is defined as a structure wherein employees, collocated or not, are grouped by activities on a project, and the project manager may have complete or very close to complete power over the project team. Typically, the project manager has the authority for budgets and personnel and decision making. You'll see that people report upward to the project manager. And the reporting manager is a project manager, not a functional manager like in a functional organization. Right here, it's just a projectized organization hierarchy. As you can see right here, it's all project manager based. So project organization advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages: traditional department barriers are reduced. There's a unity of command. Communication response times are typically faster. Co-location, team members are typically physically close. However, in this work environment that we are in today, most organizations work in a virtual environment, so the physical closeness is not quite an advantage like it used to be. Now, some of the disadvantages. You have the cost of assigning members to one part-time project. There's teamwork methods may differ from those of the organization. Teams may fail to communicate and lessons learned. And finally, discipline-specific competence may suffer. People from different functions report to the same manager. Co-locations allow for, enhanced project team identity and a strong customer focus and effective integration. Now, let's talk about a matrix organization. The matrix organization is an organization in which the project manager or project lead shares responsibility and accountability for the project with functional managers. So the project manager and functional managers, they basically share that authority, right? Team members report to both of these members, and it's a combination of task focus and projectized organization. Right here for a matrix organization, there's a hierarchy. There's a combination of functional managers and project managers. And to be honest with you, a matrix organization, that's typically what you're going to see with the majority of companies, Fortune 500 companies that are out there today. Some of the advantages and disadvantages of a matrix organization. Some advantages: the shared resources between departments and projects. There's a reduced duplication. There's cooperation between departments. There are high quality decisions are well received. There's continued development of discipline-specific knowledge. There's effective integrations, lessons learned shared effectively, and there's a flexibility of weak, balanced, and strong matrix. Now, some of the disadvantages: each employee has two bosses, more sources of conflicts, there's more meetings, and there tends to be more challenges to control. This is just a matrix of the organization structure comparison between functional matrix and projectized. This gives you a summary of the advantages and disadvantages of each type of organization. Not going to go through all this. We just went over most of this in the previous slides. Let's take a look at it and review. Now, let's talk about organizational culture and its impacts on projects. First, we had the culture of the parent organization, and then we're going to talk about the project cultural norms. So, organizational culture and its impact on projects. Just think of this as values serve as a moral compass to guide us and to provide a frame of reference to set priorities and determine right or wrong. That's a good quote right there. So organization culture and its impacts on projects, they basically motivate ethical actions and communications. You can determine how people are treated and controlled and rewarded. The impacts are they establish how cooperation, competition, conflict, and decision making are handled. And finally, its impact on projects, it tends to encourage personal commitment to the organization. Organizational culture consists of the values of social rituals, symbols, work ethics, organizational behavior, beliefs, and practices that are shared among members of the organization. The culture of the parent organization. Some of the questions that we need to ask: what is the corporate culture in general? What are the ascribed values? Are the standard project management practices and policies? How is the organization viewed by others in terms of living the values? How does the organization communicate? How does the organization support project management. Please note, a successful project manager needs to understand the organizational culture. Whenever more than one parent organization is involved, the project manager needs to understand the culture of each organization well enough to facilitate effective communications and decision making. This is important. Conflicts in work culture may result in poor performance. Us as project managers, we have to be cognizant of this. There's types of power that we deal with in project management. There is the power where everyone tries to please the boss. There's a role where everyone follows designated roles. There's a task. Getting the job done is most important. Then there's personal interest in worker development / needs. The boss controls competition, conflict resolution, and communication. Roles or formal designations of responsibilities. That's some of the key things I never want to call out. Now, dealing with project cultural norms, there's responsibility, there's respect, there's fairness, and there's honesty. We have to act ethically in the best interest of the project team, and other project stakeholders. Some of the project management behaviors have to take heed to these types of cultural norms. When we're talking about cultural norms, there's an impact. They're impacted by the project organization's culture. They're influenced by the sponsor and the project manager. And ethical culture both defines how people should act and encourages them to do so, especially in challenging circumstances. Let's talk about the project lifecycle. First, we had to define, measure, analyze, improve, and control DMAIC model. We had a research and development R&D project lifecycle model. Then we had the construction project lifecycle model. The project lifecycle common characteristics is a definite starting and ending points. It involves a series of phases. The phases include at least one initiation, one planning, and one closing, and one or more executing phases. Then finally, that organizations adapt life cycle models to fit organizational culture. When we're dealing with that DMAIC model, we have what's called define, which is a problem statement. We have the measure, which is the fact gathering, define, and facts collected. We have the analyze, which is a root causes identified and statistically proven. We have the improve, which is the solution implemented. Then we have the control, which is methods in place to maintain improvements. You use these facts to make logical decisions to ensure that the results are area as desired. Typically in DMAIC mode, a Six Sigma approach is used for quality improvement. Many firms use projects to plan and manage quality and productivity improvement efforts. Various models are used for these improvement efforts. While these models appear to be somewhat different, they all strive to use facts to make logical decisions and to ensure desired results. We had the R&D project lifecycle model, which deals with idea generation, idea screening, concept development, validation, and transition. I've rarely seen this lifecycle model in place and used. However, it does exist. You won't be tested on this, but just be aware that there is an R&D project lifecycle model that's out there. Then we have what's called the construction project lifecycle model, where we're dealing with pre-planning, design, procurement, construction, and startup. This is just as in other project applications, since construction projects differ greatly in size and complexity, a variety of project lifecycle models are in use. A generic construction project lifecycle model is used for design build projects. Now let's talk about traditional project executive roles. We have what's called the steering team. We have the sponsor, and now the customer. Then we have the chief project officer / project management office, otherwise known as the PMO. Traditional project executive, managerial, and associate roles. So we have what we call the steering team. You have the sponsor, and you have the customer, and we have the chief projects officer, which we'll go over in later slides. So let's talk about the steering team. You have a top person in the organization and his or her direct reports. They represent all the major functions of the organization. There may be multiple steering teams. Some of the activities that are involved with that steering team, they deal with overall priority setting, project selection and prioritization, sponsor selection, general guidance at set times or at project milestones, and offer encouragement. The steering team generally sets overall organization priorities with the CEO. Guidance from the steering team includes feedback during formal reviews as well as informal suggestions at other times that are either scheduled or unscheduled. Let's talk about the sponsor. The sponsor is a major stake in the project outcome. They may be a member of a steering team. They pick the project manager and the core team. They mentor the project manager. They provide an active role in chartering the project. They share the vision of the project. And then there is some financial and decision-making authority with this role as well. The sponsor ensures performance of customer-related tasks. All customers and stakeholders have been identified. The customer desires are uncovered and prioritized. Project delivers what the customer needs, and the customer accepts the project deliverables. As a member of a steering team, the sponsor should understand the corporate strategy and be prepared to help with the project selection and prioritization to link each project explicitly with the organizational strategy. The sponsor's responsibility by stage. And here we have the stages of overarching, selecting, initiation, planning, executing, closing, and realizing. It kind of gives us a breakdown of those responsibilities. Please take a note of this and kind of know and understand each stage of the project and what the sponsor really does in that stage. Then we have what's called the customer task on a project. So you have what we call independent task, which is a prioritized project, select good contractor, and kill project if needed. Then we have what's called a joint task with project manager, where we write and sign a charter. We develop clear requirements. We use control systems, and we conduct a kickoff meeting. Then we have what's called the PMO. It monitors the steering team responsibilities, and we have a whole list of responsibilities right here. They identify potential projects. They select manageable set of projects. They prioritize projects. They ensure resources. They select the sponsors and teams. You have the chartering of the project teams. They monitor and control project implementation. They reward participants, and then they enjoy results of successful projects. When we're dealing with chief project officer or / project management officer, aka the PMO owns the organization's project management system. The roles vary within an organization's size. They ensure the PMO ensures the projects are planned and well managed. PMOs ensure steering team tasks are accomplished. And finally, the PMO assures the functions of the individuals within a project management office. The PMO monitors these team members' responsibilities. Basically, the PMO makes sure that they receive the necessary training. The PMO captures lessons learned. The PMO uses lessons learned on new projects. And finally, the PMO will use templates and standards where appropriate. Then we have what's called the traditional project management roles, where we have the functional manager, and then we have the project manager, and we have the facilitator, which we'll go into in some of these slides. The functional managers may be department heads. Their larger role is deciding how project work is done. Functional managers negotiate with PMs to assign members to the project. Functional managers also balance power between a functional manager and a project manager. Basically, it varies based off of the organization. The project manager is the focal point of the project. Project managers spend a great deal of time communicating. Project managers lead the planning and executing and closing of the project. They are typically responsible for the project schedule, and they're responsible for delivering project results. Project managers must be worthy of that trust by possessing integrity, competency, and requisite skills. Desired project manager behavior/skills. You definitely want to demonstrate integrity, and to me, integrity is important with whatever role that you have. You have to be an effective communicator. You have to be people-oriented, facilitating but forceful when necessary. You have to be an effective integrator. You have to be an effective scheduler. You have to handle the project scope. You have to achieve desired project quality. You have to be able to identify and deal with project risk and opportunities. The project manager must be effectively procure project goods and services. And finally, and probably this is very important, the project manager must maintain cost control. This is just a graphic right here of the project manager communication channels, where you have a wheel right here. You got stakeholders, and the project manager is right in the center of that. The challenges that the project manager faces is that there's more responsibility than authority. And that is a very true statement. And, the project manager must determine how networks function within a certain organizational culture. And that can vary based off of that organization. Here's a graphic of the project manager competency by project lifecycle stage. Let's take a look at that. Take a look at the competencies based off of your standard stages within a project, and just kind of take a look at this and then just know it. We have what's called the facilitator. The facilitator is required when a situation is complex or opinions are varied. An outside party or disinterested sponsor or project manager is that's when a facilitator comes into play. A facilitator may be the chief project officer, or it may be a consultant. Some project management situations require facilitation because the situation is so complex and/or because the opinions are so varied. Now, we had the traditional project team roles. We had the core team members, and then we had the subject matter experts. And we're going to go in on this as well. The core team members they are involved from the start to finish. They make decisions. They carry out project activities. They represent the project stakeholders. They understands project technologies. They maintain concern to completing the project. They may supervise the subject matter experts as well. The ideal type of core team member is one who is more concerned with completing the project than with either gaining personal glory or with only doing the work in his or her own discipline/function. Now let's talk about subject matter experts. The acronym for that is SMEs. Subject matter experts meet specific temporary project needs. They're chosen for their specific expertise and they're extended to team members. SMEs may spend only a little time on a particular project and therefore may not invest their expertise and time into it fully. Typically, a project manager would have a newly assigned SME review the charter and the minutes from the last couple of meetings before discussing the actual project. Now, we had the Pinball Guide 7th edition, right? We had a team, then we had a development approach and life cycle. We had a project work, and then we had what's called the tailoring. We had a team. All project team members ideally should have a high degree of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, social skills. These are all all the things that we have to take in effect when dealing with a team. We have the development approach and life cycle. An organization's structure and culture will help determine which development approach is used and what a project life cycle looks like. The development approach refers to which methodology is being used: predictive, iterative, adaptive, incremental, and hybrid, while the life cycle depicts the series of phases through which the project will progress. Project work. Basically, when we talk about project work, it's the development approach and life cycle along with the organizational structure and culture will determine when and how project work is executed and ultimately delivered. Regardless of how and when the work is delivered, the focus should not only be on the deliverables themselves, but also on the benefits and value that they can provide. Let's talk about tailoring. Tailoring is not a one-time exercise, but rather something to be considered throughout the project. We want to choose a development approach, a predictive, hybrid, or adaptive, and then tailor everything for the organization and then for the project itself. Please note that the organization's culture and structure will have a large influence on almost every project-related decision. Now let's talk about Agile projects' organizational capabilities. Let's talk about what is Agile. Agile terms used for organizational capabilities. The Agile Manifesto. Why do we use Agile? What is the Agile mindset? And what is needed for Agile to be successful? And what is an Agile project management life cycle? So Agile is a form of adaptive or change-driven project management that largely reacts to what has happened in the early or previous stages of a project rather than planning everything in detail from the start. From this perspective, it is quite different from plan-driven or traditional project management. And please take a note on that last sentence. It is different from the plan-driven or traditional project management, and it seems to be this is the preferred method for technology projects these days. Here are some terms right here for use in organizational capability. Please, I'm not going to go over each one of these terms, but just know that please familiarize yourself with each one of these terms and their descriptions. Why use Agile? Well, when the client is ambiguous about the project deliverables and has a wish list of outcomes that are vague and cannot be defined early on. An adaptive method like Agile is adopted. With the traditional approach, a firm plan can be developed with complete identification and resources required and a near accurate estimation of costs and durations of completing a project. Agile projects offer visibility and adaptability with a goal of enhancing business value while decreasing risk. What is an agile mindset? One, it satisfies the customers by placing emphasis on outputs that add business value. Two, they engage all participants through empowerment, cooperation, experimentation, and knowledge sharing. Three, they facilitate the engagement through leadership and visible continual communication. Four, they keep things simple with a sustainable pace of cadence and emphasis on process improvement through empiricism, learning through facts and experiences. And five, people representing business and the development team must work together constantly. While much has been written about Agile, starting with the Agile Manifesto is a simplified version of the mindset to successfully plan and manage Agile projects. Boils down to these five key ideas. What is needed for Agile to be successful? Experience and motivate team members, that helps. A key stakeholder, often called a product owner, needs to commit to frequent and detailed meetings. You have to be able to have trust between the client and the contractor. Trust is also necessary as the client needs to prioritize work to get maximum value. Given time and resource constraints, the project team needs to commit to creating output during each iteration or sprint. So let's go over some of the Agile project roles. We had a sponsor, portfolio team, and a product management Scrum office. We had a product owner, Scrum master, functional manager, and coach. Then we have what's called the team members. One of the most important roles is the customer, right? And they have both executive and managerial level duties. Some of the work is performed by different people, as there's an emphasis on empowering teams in an Agile framework project. Right here is just a key Agile roles. It kind of gives the example of an organization called TQL. Just take a look at this, read this over, take a look at what the product owner does. There's several roles are included in some Agile projects. There are also maybe a designated sponsor, sometimes known as a product manager, who controls the budget. The functional manager in an Agile framework project sometimes is called a resource manager. It has a similar but sometimes more limited role than the traditional department lead. And also know that many organizations using Agile have also used a coach acting as a facilitator or trainer. Then finally, we had what we call the Scrum Master and the team member. Please know that the Scrum Master is assigned to 2 or more Scrum teams consisting of 4 to 8 members. They facilitate Scrum ceremonies, including daily stand-ups, sprint planning, refinement, retrospectives, and 2 to 4 week sprint cycles. They communicate sprint goals, progress, and accomplishments to stakeholders via mid-sprint and end-of-sprint summary emails. They track and report key performance indices or indicators, what we call KPIs. Then we have what's called the team members. They ask questions and provide input during the backlog refinement sessions in order to shape and better define their requirements. They have the estimates of size and user stories to assist with the sprint planning. They tend to write code in accordance with the business requirements to complete features for release, and they provide updates on progress and daily stand-ups. So your team member typically consists of a developer or a QA person or a UX person. And many organizations using Agile, again, tend to use an Agile coach as a facilitator / trainer. This is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this chapter, and we'll see you during the next chapter.